3 or 4 years old. I'd point them out to folks going along the road, you know, ask them what kind they were, and count them, you know. I was a little old kid wanting to count them. So I've always been, it doesn't have a tail on it. It's called an umbrella type. It's now this is an old Dempster. I found it up in the no man's land up in the Oklahoma Strip. It's all covered up in dirt, and I dug it out and rebuilt it. And I think it was bought about 1902 or 3, long about then. And it works like an umbrella. The wind, when it's out of the wind, it's like an umbrella. The wind's blowing through it. This is the end of your wheel. See, they're like this, like an umbrella. And if you turn it on, it opens up like wide open. And then later they went to make them out of metal. Okay, that's about all I know about this one. Okay, this is another later model umbrella type mill. I found part of it up in the edge of Kansas. And it's a monitor make windmill. And it was really the most popular umbrella type mill there was. And I finally bought it off the guy. He didn't much want to sell it, but I got my got my price high enough that he couldn't resist the price, so he sold it to me. And of course I had to rebuild it. And I don't know when it was put up, probably, I believe he said in the teens. Maybe they bought it back in the dust storm days they had it. And that's about all I know about it. What? Just about right in here. Yeah, get a little closer, I think. You need it closer? Okay, she said. Oh, okay. This is a little Samson, open-geared, 6-foot wheel. And they were really popular for a little while. They came out around, this model around 1900. And this belonged to my wife's grandmother. And she lived to be 101. And when she died, they gave it to me. So I took good care of it. But they had to be oiled pretty often. They're open geared. They don't run an oil like the later models do. And the reason this wheel is small is for a shallow well where water kind of used pitcher pumps. Maybe water wouldn't be over 60, 70 feet. Well, it'd be all right for that. And I like to watch them work, but they gave lots more trouble than the old Eclipse did. And that's about all I know about this. Hey, are you ready? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a little 10-foot smaller Eclipse wheel. It was used on a little shallower well. And I just had enough parts laying around one day. I thought I'd as well put those parts together, so I put up another little Eclipse. And I believe there's more of these 10-foot wheels than there were bigger mills. And that's about all I know about this. It runs in pretty light wind. That's about all I know about it.
Ready?
You ready? Okay. And it was over a dug well, hand dug well. The reason it's so wide at the bottom. And it doesn't control itself too well in the wind. When the high wind comes up, it doesn't shut off too soon like it should. And they all had different ideas, and they made this one up above the platform, put it up higher. It's awful hard to oil on and hand it to. One old rancher tell me one time, worked on the Yellow House Ranch, and it's pretty shaky. Old cowboy didn't want to climb it very much, and the boss said, "Jess, did you grease that OK mill this morning?" He said, "No, I just..." So that's about all I know about that. Okay, this is a Curry windmill. It's called a poor man's windmill. It has wooden bearings in it, and bearings are soaked in oil, so you don't have to oil it very often. And if you notice around the outside of the wheel, it has a rim around it. They all had different ideas on making their windmills. And the size smaller than this is an 8 foot, but on a 6 foot I saw on an old Kansas City Star paper, a Curry windmill, a 6 foot for $14. And now that'd be $1,400 if you still make them. But there was a big help to a lot of people who couldn't buy better, higher priced windmills. So that's about all I know about that one. Star windmill, and I found part of it out in New Mexico back in the 60s. And the folks that had this mill said they homesteaded out there when there was no water and close. And they made a trip to the railroad water tank, which was round trip was 75 miles, and in a round trip it was that far. And they had to go that far in a wagon for the water. And they'd make that trip once or twice a week. And they're a pretty mill. They're wasn't quite as popular as the Eclipse. There's a little cheaper mill. And might tell you about how glad I was to see one time. 1918, the folks decided to go to California, and no roads and no filling station or nothing in there much, you know. Just camped out, took a tent along, and of course with Dad and Mother, I was pretty young and didn't know about like some of the kids. Anyway, they run out of water, and there was 7 or 8 of us kids riding in the back of that car, and one little sister was just pretty small, hadn't learned to talk yet, and we was all getting pretty thirsty for water. And the first words she said, "On a drink, on a drink." And we thought, oh, boy, that girl's getting dry. So pretty soon we saw a windmill pop up way over there, and boy, we was tickled to see it. And a couple of cowboys working on it. And Dad asked him, "That water all right to drink?" Full of alkali. He said, "Well, we drink it all the time." So Dad said, "No, go kind of light on this water, you kids. Might give you the back door try." Anyway, that was hard to get water on that trip. It wasn't like it is now. Old hard roads, and we'd camp along the way. It was 2 weeks going out there. That's about all I know about this Curry windmill. Star, this one is. Okay. This is an old railroad eclipse, the kind that the railroads used when they was using the old steam locomotives, and they had them a windmill about every 20 or 30 miles apart with a big red water tank. And this old 18-foot wheel, it blew off 2 or 3 times. It catches so much more wind, and that's the reason the railroads want them. The old 18-foot hardly ever see one of them stop. It was getting a little wind from somewhere, and of course that's what they wanted all the time, was plenty of water. And this is a railroad type mill, and if you notice, the tower is telescoped because there's another tower inside the big one, because if I'd run the legs on up to the wheel, why, it'd hit the wheel being too wide, so I had to make 2 towers, one here and then another smaller than the platform on it. And they call that a stub tower, telescope tower, some of them call them. But that's the way they had to build the tower, shape the tower, was because the wheel would hit the tower if it's been put on one of these other kind of towers. And I've been working on it some. I'd like to put it up, but I'm about to get out of the habit because I've put 3 wheels on it and they've all been blown off. And in fact, one time it broke the wheel shaft, the wind did. And I got the machine shop to make another one for me. But anyway, they were really popular. That's about all I know about that old mill. I fixed this up for the school tomorrow, see, the gear goes, and you have to oil this about once a week. So that's an old mill. It came out about 1900. This is a section out of the 18-foot railroad mill. You see how much larger it is than this 10-foot wheel, see? Now you see they catch a lot more wind, and that's the reason it's hard to keep a wheel together. But that's off the L.